There's a profound truth waiting to reveal itself to you, something so fundamentally paradigm shifting that once you genuinely grasp its essence, your entire relationship with the world around you will transform forever. Nothing in your immediate environment is authentically real until you make the conscious decision that it is. The reality you're currently experiencing isn't solid or permanent. It isn't fixed in some unchangeable state. It isn't simply sitting there waiting passively for you to stumble upon it and discover its secrets. Instead, it's actively waiting for you to observe it into definite form, to collapse it from pure possibility into experienced actuality. This isn't merely spiritual language or metaphysical poetry. What we're exploring here is the revolutionary revelation sitting at the absolute heart of quantum physics itself. In the now famous double-slit experiment, scientists witnessed something that fundamentally shook the foundations of classical physics. When electrons weren't being observed by any measuring device or conscious awareness, they behaved like waves, existing simultaneously in multiple states at once, spread across infinite probabilities, like ripples expanding outward on a cosmic pond. But the precise moment an observer entered the experimental picture, something extraordinary happened. The electrons collapsed instantaneously from their wave-like state into distinct particles, transforming into something tangible and measurable, shifting into what we recognize and experience as physical reality. Observation itself changed the experimental outcome. The observer didn't just passively watch reality unfold before them like a movie viewer in a theater. They actively created that reality through the simple act of observation, which means something revolutionary about your true nature and role in this universe. You are not a passive bystander forced to watch life happen around you without any say in the matter. You aren't here to endure a predetermined script you didn't write, didn't choose, and don't want. You are the one actively orchestrating the quantum stage upon which your life unfolds. You are the observer at the center of your experience. And even more profound than that, you are the one collapsing infinite potential from the field of all possibilities into singular experienced reality moment by moment. And yet, when you observe how most people navigate their daily existence, they live as if the world has already been predetermined, as if their circumstances arrived set in unchangeable stone. They wake up each morning and simply replay identical cycles of thought, falling into the same predictable reactions, generating the same worn emotional patterns they've rehearsed for years or decades. They keep observing what doesn't serve them, what limits them, what hurts them, and by doing so repeatedly, they keep unconsciously recreating that same limited reality again and again and again. This repetition doesn't happen because they consciously want these patterns or deliberately choose limitation. It continues because nobody ever taught them how to look through a fundamentally new lens, how to observe their lives from a completely different perspective. But consider this transformative possibility right now. What would shift in your experience if you made a radically different choice? What would transform if you stopped observing your life exclusively through the narrow filter of limitation and instead chose consciously to observe with genuine curiosity, with authentic faith, with clear and focused intention? What would become available to you if instead of constantly noticing lack and absence, you trained your awareness to recognize potential and possibility everywhere you look? What if instead of perpetually reacting from stored memories of your past, you began responding consciously to the version of your future that's already calling you forward into expansion and growth? This represents the fundamental invitation of quantum manifestation, and understand this with absolute clarity. It begins right here, in this present moment, not someday in the future. Because here's what's genuinely true at the deepest level. Reality isn't something that simply happens to you as a passive recipient without any creative input. Reality happens through you as an active participant and conscious co-creator. The quantum field, which we can conceptualize as this invisible, it responds with absolute precision to what you observe while simultaneously generating emotion, while broadcasting coherent energy, while achieving internal alignment between your thoughts and feelings. The field isn't listening for your spoken language or your verbal declarations or your written intentions. It's listening exclusively for your frequency, for the electromagnetic signature you're consistently transmitting into the field through your sustained emotional state. So let me pose this essential question to you directly right now. Where is your attention focused in this very moment? Every single moment you're conscious and awake. Your focused attention operates exactly like a concentrated beam of light that illuminates one particular version of reality while simultaneously leaving countless other versions in complete darkness. Are you directing that powerful beam of attention toward fear, toward doubt, toward scarcity and limitation? Or are you consciously aiming it toward trust, toward gratitude, toward vision and radically expanded possibility? The overwhelming majority of people attempt to change their external circumstances, trying desperately to transform their lives from the outside, moving inward, rearranging external furniture while the internal foundation remains unchanged. But authentic transformation, genuine quantum shifting that creates lasting change, initiates at the precise moment you consciously choose what you will observe differently from this point forward. Because here's the fundamental mechanism to understand. Every single time you engage emotionally with any thought, every time you give a thought your attention combined with feeling, you are observing that thought into greater solidity and reality. Every single time you dwell mentally on what isn't currently working in your life, every time you replay what went wrong or what's missing, you feed that pattern energy and focused attention. You literally make it more real, more solid, more permanent with each moment of sustained focus. And conversely, operating in the opposite direction, every single time you deliberately shift your focus toward a greater possibility, toward an expanded vision, even before that possibility has manifested any physical evidence whatsoever, you draw it incrementally nearer to manifestation in your physical experience. You begin activating the quantum process of collapsing potential from the infinite field of all possibilities into your lived, experienced reality. This understanding isn't wishful thinking or positive psychology or self-help platitudes. This is verifiable truth emerging directly from quantum physics itself, from repeatable experiments conducted in laboratories around the world. As Dr. Joe Dispenza consistently teaches throughout his extensive work, wherever you place your attention becomes the precise location where you simultaneously place your life force energy. And that energy, that focused attention combined with emotion, transforms into the instruction set that the quantum field responds to with absolute precision and no judgment. Not your struggle or your desperate force or your anxious pushing creates your experienced reality. Your awareness creates it. Your embodied state, the frequency you maintain consistently, creates it. That means you genuinely don't have to fight and force your way into a completely different life experience through exhausting effort. You only need to become the conscious observer who sees and holds steady awareness of a new reality that's already unfolding in the quantum field, even before external evidence appears in your physical world. You must cultivate unwavering trust in this radical truth that feels counterintuitive to your conditioned mind. The world isn't fixed in permanent place. It remains responsive, sensitive, and completely fluid in direct relation to the focus you consistently bring to it moment after moment. So, if everything in your surrounding environment is essentially waiting to be observed into definite form, waiting for your consciousness to collapse it from wave to particle, what will you consciously choose to see next? What will you decide to witness into being with your sustained attention and elevated emotion? This is precisely where a fundamentally new way of existing begins to emerge in your experience. Not as someone passively wishing for life to shift into something better someday, but as someone consciously and deliberately choosing how to meet the quantum field moment by moment by moment with intention. As a deliberate creator rather than a powerless victim. Let this understanding be your personal turning point, your new beginning right now. Because what unfolds in your life after you truly grasp this revolutionary principle will forever alter how you see reality, how you feel about your innate creative capacity, and how you actively create your experienced world moving forward into your future. Your consciousness isn't trapped inside your skull or confined to the physical structure of your brain. It isn't genuinely limited by physical space, by linear time, or by external circumstance beyond your control. Consciousness operates as the invisible sculptor actively shaping reality from formless potential. It's the silent artist transforming raw possibility into definite, experienced form. The world you currently perceive around you, everything you see and touch and experience, isn't the originating source causing your inner emotional state. It operates as the perfect mirror, reflecting that inner state back to you with precision. And that reflection process, that mirroring mechanism, begins long before any external event ever manifests in physical form that others can witness. Pioneers in consciousness research like Dr. Joe Dispenza, Amit Goswami, and Bob Proctor have dedicated entire decades of their lives to bridging the seemingly separate realms of hard science and ancient spirituality, consistently reminding us through their research and teaching that consciousness represents the root system of reality and matter represents the branch and leaf system growing from that fundamental root. Amit Goswami stated this principle with beautiful clarity that cuts through confusion. Consciousness creates reality, not the reverse direction that materialist science assumes. This single understanding flips absolutely everything you've been culturally conditioned to believe completely upside down, turning your worldview inside out. It transforms your identity from passive observer of events happening to you into active creator of events happening through you, from powerless victim into empowered author. What does that fundamental transformation really mean in practical, applicable terms for your daily life? It means your focused, intentional awareness begins actively folding raw possibility into manifest form that you can experience. It means that whatever you consistently observe while simultaneously generating authentic feeling and emotion becomes your physical reality over time. The field itself maintains complete neutrality without judgment or preference. Your awareness provides the shaping force that gives reality its specific form. Your sustained attention supplies the structure and definition. In the quantum realm beneath ordinary perception, fundamental particles remain in wave state, existing as pure probability, until the precise moment they are observed by consciousness. In your personal life experience, your attention functions as the instrument of collapse, the mechanism that transforms waves of possibility into particles of experienced actuality, potential into manifestation. This collapsing process doesn't demand elaborate action or complex methodology or perfect technique. It demands presence, full embodied presence in the here and now. It doesn't require a perfect system or flawless technique that you must master. It requires inner coherence between what you desire and what you consistently embody in your daily state. It doesn't depend on outer conditions, aligning first before you can begin. It depends entirely on inner alignment, establishing itself first within your consciousness and nervous system. When your thinking mind fuses completely with authentic feeling, when emotion merges seamlessly with crystal clear intention, your consciousness literally impresses an energetic blueprint onto the quantum field. And that energetic blueprint becomes the silent code, the invisible instruction set that reshapes your inner world first and eventually your outer world as a direct reflection of that inner transformation. Some spiritual teachers call this process intention setting. Others frame it as manifestation or law of attraction. Some simply call it quantum creation or conscious co-creation with the field. This is the precise intersection point where ancient spiritual practice, the wisdom traditions that have existed for thousands of years, meets measurable, repeatable science that can be verified in laboratories. Joe Dispenza points directly to the measurable shifts in brainwave patterns, in physiological markers and stress hormones, and in electromagnetic fields radiating from the heart that occur when you successfully hold elevated emotion together with clear intention for sustained periods. Bob Proctor expressed this mechanism perfectly when it's not the wish alone that manifests into form. It's the sustained state that holds the wish with emotional conviction that brings manifestation into physical reality. Consciousness operates not just personally, confined to your individual experience, but also non-locally across space and time. This means your awareness possesses genuine power to influence reality across physical distance, across time itself, moving both forward and backward, even before something exists in any physical form whatsoever that could be measured or detected. You don't need physical closeness to create change in the field. You need presence, full conscious presence. You don't need external proof arriving before you begin the process. You need inner conviction and unwavering certainty that what you're focusing on already exists. This represents the revolutionary paradigm shift we're discussing and exploring together here. The external world isn't the originating cause of your internal experience. It functions as the reflection, the echo, the perfect mirror. Your consciousness is simultaneously the seed of creation, the soil in which it grows, and the source of nourishment. The quantum field is the ground of infinite potential waiting to be activated. And your conscious observation is the gentle activation, the loving invitation that calls specific possibility to take definite shape and form in your experienced reality. So when you feel powerless in any area of your life, when circumstances seem overwhelming or unchangeable, return immediately to this remembering, this knowing you are not powerless. You are infinitely creative by your very nature as consciousness itself. You are the conscious agent actively sculpting your world with the precision of your sustained focus and the purity of your internal state, your frequency. This is your personal invitation right now to pause everything external, to breathe deeply into your body, and to bring your awareness back home to yourself, to your center, to remember consciously that consciousness isn't passive or static or fixed. Consciousness is endlessly generative, constantly creating reality moment by moment. Your life isn't just happening around you as random events outside your control. Your life is unfolding through you as deliberate creation, emerging from your sustained focus and emotional state. Creation doesn't start with struggle or strain or exhausting force applied to circumstances. It starts with focus, with sustained attention directed consciously. Every single moment you're alive and conscious, your life experience is being actively molded by where you place your conscious energy and attention, not by what you say out loud that you want to manifest, not by what you hope might eventually change someday in the future, but by what you repeatedly observe throughout your day, what you react to emotionally, and what you consistently feel within your internal landscape beneath the surface level. Attention isn't a passive activity you engage in unconsciously. Attention is magnetic, drawing experiences that match its frequency. Each second you remain awake and conscious, you are actively tuning your inner frequency like carefully adjusting a radio dial to receive specific stations. And that frequency is constantly communicating instructions to the quantum field that surrounds and interpenetrates you at every moment. Your attention is genuinely more powerful than physical effort alone, more potent than willpower disconnected from emotion, stronger than discipline without conscious awareness behind it. Because life force energy follows awareness like water flowing naturally downhill following gravity. Wherever your attention comes to rest and remains focused, your life force energy gathers in that location, amplifies itself through sustained focus, and begins actively shaping your world to match that specific focus. That's precisely why identical patterns of thought consistently create identical feelings, which produce identical choices, which recreate identical external reality over and over again in repeating cycles. This isn't poetic metaphor or spiritual language without substance. This is energetic law demonstrating itself in action in your daily life. Your emotional focus is the precise vibration that tunes your personal field to specific frequencies in the quantum spectrum. Your thoughts don't just narrate your life like passive commentary running in the background. They activate specific timelines that match their vibrational frequency, calling certain possibilities forward while leaving others dormant. So, when you focus your attention repeatedly, not out of judgment or punishment from some external force, but purely out of vibrational resonance and frequency matching, like a tuning fork responding to its matching pitch. When you continue watching your life exclusively through the lens of limitation, through the filter of scarcity and lack, you unintentionally anchor that limited reality further into place, making it more solid and permanent. Your inner state of observation becomes the invisible architecture of your next experience, literally building tomorrow from the energetic blueprint of today's sustained focus. You observe what currently is. You react emotionally to what is. You watch it again with the same emotional charge, and the self-perpetuating cycle continues reinforcing itself. But the precise moment you redirect your focus toward new possibility, toward expanded vision, toward something aligned with your highest self and greatest potential, and you approach that new focus with emotional presence rather than empty mental repetition, you begin collapsing a completely new reality into being. You stop replaying the past on endless repeat and start vibrating the future into physical existence. This is the secret that so few people dare to practice consistently over time, to stop observing what currently is and consciously choosing instead to observe what can be as though it already exists in full form. That's how genuine quantum change initiates itself in your experience. You aren't pretending or engaging in denial of current circumstances. You are focusing intentionally. You are becoming the conscious observer of a higher pattern, a new possibility waiting in the field, and you hold that observation steady until that pattern finds stability within your nervous system and eventually takes external shape in your physical world. The old conditioned self always wants to check facts constantly, to measure progress externally, to validate fears as protection, to replay stored memories as evidence of what's possible. But the quantum self, your highest self that exists beyond conditioning, knows a deeper truth that supersedes all of that limited thinking. The only real reality is the one you stabilize with your emotions from within your own being, from your internal state. If you keep observing limitation through your focus and feeling, you expand it and make it more real. If you observe potential and possibility instead, you unlock it and draw it forth. Here's the energetic shift that changes absolutely everything about your manifestation capacity. Observation must become intentional rather than automatic and unconscious. Your focus must become sacred rather than scattered across 1,000 distractions. You are not here on this planet to passively watch what already exists playing out before you. You are here to witness the unseen into form, to call forth what doesn't yet exist physically but exists as pure potential. Each time you bring your full presence to the experience you genuinely desire, whether that's love, abundance, peace, vitality, freedom, whatever truly calls to your soul, and you embody the emotion of already being and having that experience right now, your attention becomes the catalyst for manifestation in the physical realm. In the comments below, drop one word that captures the energy you're choosing to carry forward from this moment. Maybe it's abundance, maybe it's trust, maybe it's freedom, maybe it's something uniquely yours that resonates with your soul. Let that word be a small but profound declaration. A signal you're sending not just in this comment section but directly into the quantum field itself as instruction. Not wishful, hoping that maybe someday circumstances might improve. Not empty, affirming without authentic feeling behind the words you speak. But a deep inner decision, a soul-level commitment to observe what the physical world hasn't caught up to yet, what doesn't yet exist in form. This is the living essence of conscious creation that masters have practiced throughout history, choosing to see before the evidence arrives in physical form, holding the frequency of your highest timeline before there's any proof that timeline exists or is accessible, not because you're being naive or delusional or in denial, but because the field responds with precision to your observation, to your sustained focus, not to your current conditions or circumstances. And here's the deeply empowering truth in all of this quantum understanding. You don't need to completely purge every single limiting belief from your subconscious mind before you. It needs consistency and coherence between your chosen focus and your emerging identity, alignment between who you're becoming and what you're observing. So the invitation here is both beautifully simple and radically challenging to practice. Watch your focus throughout the day like it's a sacred compass pointing toward your destiny. Interrupt the automatic reflex to observe what you don't want. Gently but firmly withdraw attention from stories that hurt you or limit your expansion. And over and over and over again, place your awareness where your soul is genuinely calling you to look, where possibility lives. Because what you observe with love, with presence, with sustained emotional commitment cannot help but become real in your physical experience. You were never here to be a passive witness watching life happen around you. You came here to shape this life with your presence, with your consciousness, with your deliberate observation and elevated emotion. Many people still wait endlessly for the world to change first, waiting for love to arrive, for health to improve, for opportunity to knock, for safety to appear before they feel safe. But in the quantum realm beneath ordinary perception, nothing moves until you observe it into motion first. Nothing becomes real in your experience until your consciousness tells the field with absolute clarity. This is what I am choosing to stabilize. This is what I am collapsing from potential into form. This is the threshold moment where your identity shifts fundamentally from someone reacting to what is into someone actively collapsing reality into what you consciously decide and choose. You are not merely watching this movie of your life unfold. You are directing it, writing it, starring in it, producing it. You are the lens through which reality focuses itself, the light that illuminates specific possibilities, the script that unfolds moment by moment, the screen upon which it all plays out. And every moment you pay attention to something with genuine feeling behind it, you are assigning that thing weight and substance in the quantum field. You aren't simply watching it passively like entertainment. You are collapsing waves of potential into particles of lived experience that become your reality. This explains precisely why certain patterns repeat themselves endlessly in your life without changing. When you keep observing those patterns with sustained attention and emotional charge, you feed them with your life force energy, and the universe, which is infinitely precise in its responsiveness, reflects them back to you again and again. This isn't punishment from some judgmental external force evaluating your worthiness. This is precision. This is the field operating exactly as it's designed to operate, responding to frequency. The quantum field doesn't deliver what you morally deserve or what seems fair based on your efforts. It delivers with absolute neutrality what you continue to reinforce through your focus, through your emotions, through your sustained state of being underneath surface thoughts. That's what makes you genuinely powerful as a conscious creator, and it's simultaneously why so many people remain stuck in repeating cycles they desperately wish would end. But here's where the transformative shift becomes available to you. When you begin to observe a completely new story, even before you see any physical evidence of it with your eyes, you start actively weaving new possibilities into reality. Not because you force them into being through struggle and exhausting effort, but because you witness them long enough, clearly enough, with enough emotional resonance and coherent feeling that they had no choice but to emerge into form. That's the essence of quantum collapse operating through you. Potential becomes presence, possibility becomes actuality, and it happens through you as the conscious observer. When you genuinely understand this mechanism at a deep level, you stop outsourcing your change to the external world or other people. You stop saying, when life brings me peace, then I'll feel peaceful, and you start saying, when I observe peace within myself and hold that frequency consistently, life will reflect it back to me. Imagine for a moment that you're looking at two distinct realities, two parallel timelines existing simultaneously in the field. One timeline is where you keep repeating old doubts, continuously proving your limits, constantly measuring what's missing from your life. And the other timeline is already alive and existing in the quantum field right now, a reality where you are free, abundant, joyful, deeply loved, and fully expressed. Both timelines exist as potential in the field, but only one timeline becomes your physical experience, your lived reality. Which one? The one you choose to observe with consistent, heartfelt focus. That's what true acting as if actually means when properly understood beyond surface interpretation. It's not faking emotions you don't feel or lying to yourself. It's not delusion or denial of current reality or toxic positivity. It is consciously choosing to observe what isn't yet visible in physical form until it is, until the field responds to your sustained frequency. You become the one who collapses the desired possibility into manifestation when you stop merely reacting unconsciously and start consciously choosing your focus. When you look at what currently is and you declare with unwavering conviction, this is not all there is, this is not my final reality. I choose to witness something greater emerging through me. In that declaration, you claim authorship over the field. You take your seat as conscious creator. And as you do this consistently over time, the gap between your inner reality and your outer reality begins to shrink. What was once pure imagination becomes your lived experience, specifically because you saw it as truth before the physical world did, before anyone else could see it. So here's your direct invitation right now, in this moment, begin observing your future self as if they already exist here in this present moment, already embodied. Feel their energy moving through your body right now. Imagine specifically how they speak, how they move through space, how they breathe, how they make choices moment by moment. Hold that vision close like it's already your direct reflection in the mirror when you look. Because in a universe that operates by the law of observation, the most magnetic thing you can possibly do is see what others cannot yet see and become it before the evidence arrives to validate you. Before we go deeper into this quantum journey together, I want to invite you into something meaningful. If you've been feeling like something here is making sense, if a part of you is starting to recognize your own creative power, hit that like button, because like truly does attract like in this universe. And subscribe to this channel to stay connected. This isn't just content you're consuming passively. This is a frequency you're tuning into, a community of conscious creators. If you felt even 1% more aligned after hearing this, hit subscribe and click that bell icon right next to it. This is a space where awakenings are our foundation. Let's keep growing and shifting together. There comes a quiet but absolutely profound moment in this journey when you realize something life-changing about how reality operates. The universe isn't testing you, isn't punishing you, isn't withholding anything from you based on worthiness. It is simply responding with mechanical precision. The quantum field doesn't judge your past mistakes, doesn't evaluate your worthiness based on history, doesn't analyze your plans and goals with moral assessment. It reads one thing only: your frequency, your vibration, your electromagnetic signature broadcasting constantly. And it reflects that frequency back to you faithfully, accurately, every single time without exception or bias. That's why life can feel so confusing and contradictory at times, creating cognitive dissonance. Because while your conscious thinking mind asks for one specific thing, saying, "I want abundance," your subconscious vibration might be broadcasting something completely different, sending a signal of scarcity. You might be visualizing abundance in your morning meditation while simultaneously vibrating in the frequency of scarcity throughout your afternoon. You might be affirming love and partnership while radiating the frequency of fear of rejection or unworthiness underneath. You might be dreaming of freedom while emotionally clinging to control, to doubt, to comparison with others who seem ahead of you. And the field? It doesn't judge these contradictions or weigh your conscious intentions against your subconscious programming. It simply reflects back what you are consistently being energetically, not what you're occasionally thinking or affirming. It's not personal, it's vibrational. It's mechanical in its precision, like a radio receiving the signal you broadcast. This is the fundamental shift in awareness that changes absolutely everything about your manifestation capacity. Manifestation isn't about convincing the universe of what you want through repeated affirmations or vision board. It's about aligning your energy. The field cannot bring you peace if you are consistently vibrating chaos and anxiety throughout your day. It cannot deliver worthiness to you through the sustained vibration of self-doubt and self-criticism running in the background. This isn't because you're somehow unworthy or broken or doing something wrong. It's simply because the vibrations don't match, and the field responds to matching frequencies like attracts like. So what do you actually do with this understanding? You let go completely of trying to force specific outcomes through will, and you begin tending carefully to your inner state, to your internal landscape moment by moment. You begin the sacred practice of noticing your thoughts throughout the day without becoming them, not condemning those thoughts or fighting with them aggressively, but simply witnessing them with neutral awareness like clouds passing. You tune into your emotional baseline with honest attention and self-awareness. Not how you feel once in a while during peak experiences or when you're trying to manifest, but the frequency you return to over and over throughout ordinary moments when nobody's watching. Because it's this baseline frequency that transmits your consistent signal to the field. It's who you are when no one is watching, when you're alone with your thoughts, that sets the energetic tone for the reality you experience daily. When you take full responsibility for the signal you're consistently sending out, everything begins to shift in your experience. You move from being a victim of circumstances happening to you to being the conscious creator of those circumstances. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" And you start asking, "What am I vibrating that is inviting this experience in as a match?" Not from a place of blame or guilt, but from awareness and reclaimed power. The field operates as your perfect mirror, reflecting your vibration back to you without distortion. Yet most people spend their entire lives trying desperately to change the reflection they see without ever changing the face they're showing to the mirror. They try to attract more money without healing the deep energy of lack and scarcity programmed within their nervous system. They seek love and partnership without becoming someone who knows with certainty they are already lovable exactly as they are right now. They try desperately to shift the outer world while completely ignoring the inner world that's creating it as source. And the field keeps responding faithfully to their actual vibration underneath their wishes, not their surface desires. So here's your moment of activation right now. Ask yourself with complete honesty, what am I consistently observing throughout my days? What emotions am I rehearsing over and over like a familiar song? What frequency am I genuinely living in when I'm alone, when I'm working, when I'm not trying to impress anyone or present a certain image? This isn't about achieving perfection or never having a negative thought again. It's about steady, patient practice over time. It's about choosing again and again and again to return to the frequency of who you want to become until that frequency becomes normal to your nervous system, and then naturally it becomes your physical reality as reflection. When you realize the field is completely neutral without judgment, you reclaim all your creative power in that single moment. Because if it isn't judging you based on past mistakes, it also isn't limiting you based on current circumstances. There are no cosmic gatekeepers deciding if you're worthy enough to receive abundance. There are only energetic agreements, vibrational matches in the field, and you can renegotiate those agreements starting right now in this present moment. With every breath you take, every belief you choose to embody, every moment of conscious presence you bring to your experience, you are casting votes into the quantum field. You are declaring through your vibration, this is who I am, this is what I'm choosing. And the universe reflects exactly what you choose with your sustained attention and emotion combined. Let this be the fundamental shift in your awareness right now. You do not need to earn your dream life through suffering or proving yourself worthy through struggle. You simply need to resonate with that life vibrationally. You must broadcast its frequency consistently. And you must do it with the emotional integrity and consistency of someone who is already living there, already experiencing it, already being that version of themselves in their nervous system. This is why this specific moment matters more than you might realize. This is your personal invitation to stop reacting automatically to circumstances and start radiating deliberately your chosen frequency. To stop asking permission from external validation and start declaring intention from within. To stop explaining yourself to others and start embodying the frequency that needs no explanation. The field is already listening to you right now in this very moment. It's always listening, always responding. What's one thing you truly want to manifest, and why is it important to you? Drop it in the comments below. Be honest with yourself and with this community. Let it be a declaration into the field. There is a place within you that remains completely untouched by circumstance, unmoved by external appearances or changing conditions. It is the part of you that simply observes without fear, without projection, without mental noise or anxiety. This is the frequency of the silent observer, and it is more powerful than any amount of effort you have ever made or will ever make through force. The silent observer does not try to force manifestation into being through techniques. It does not chase outcomes desperately or argue with what currently is. It understands something much deeper than surface tactics or manipulation. Reality shifts not through force but through stillness, not through wishing alone but through steady presence anchored in knowing. In the quantum realm beneath ordinary perception, everything exists first as pure potential, as a wave of countless possibilities spreading out in all directions simultaneously. That wave doesn't collapse through struggle or desperate pushing or trying harder. It collapses when you observe with clear intent, when you see with certainty, when your presence becomes completely coherent with your desire, when there's no contradiction between what you want and what you're being. This is why so many people try for years, sometimes decades, to change their lives only to find nothing fundamentally moves or shifts. It's because they keep observing their present circumstances with resistance, focusing far more attention and emotional charge on their fears than on their desired future. And the field responds with precision to the lens you choose to look through, not the lens you wish you were looking through. The power is not in what you say with your words or affirmations. The power is in the frequency from which you observe reality moment by moment. When you approach the quantum field as the silent observer, free of panic, free of judgment, anchored in quiet faith and inner knowing. You become genuinely magnetic in ways effort never achieves. The things you used to chase desperately begin naturally coming to you. Not because you did more actions or worked harder, but because you became more empty of noise, more full of presence, more aligned with the frequency of having rather than wanting. This is not passive observation disconnected from life. This is one of the most profound practices you can possibly embody as a conscious creator. To witness your life without falling into the trap of believing that what you see now is the final reality. To hold space for what wishes to emerge even before it appears physically. To remain centered and grounded while the world shifts around you. Because you are no longer waiting desperately for something to happen eventually. You are aligning with what's already yours in the quantum field right now. The silent observer is not disconnected from life or disengaged. It is radically connected without the desperation that clouds and distorts the signal you're sending. It watches from a higher perspective with steady knowing, understanding deeply that every scene is still unfolding and nothing is final until you observe it with your soul, with your deepest knowing beyond the mind. In this frequency, you remember that reality is not some force outside of you, acting upon you without your input. Reality is the perfect reflection of your awareness, and the more silent, certain, and coherent your awareness becomes through practice, the clearer the echo appears in your physical life. So how do you actually live from this place consistently? How do you embody the silent observer throughout your day? You begin by practicing presence in each moment instead of living on autopilot. You guide your nervous system to feel genuinely safe in uncertainty instead of seeking constant control. You let go of the habitual pattern of constant mental analysis that exhausts you. You watch your thoughts like passing clouds in the sky, letting them drift by without attachment or identification with them. You breathe deeper into your body, connecting with physical sensation. You move slower through your day, being present with each action. You return again and again to the part of you that simply sees, without needing to control outcomes. And from that seeing, from that witnessing state, creation flows naturally and effortlessly. The external world will still bring distractions constantly, pulling for your attention. Old patterns will tug you backward toward familiar territory that feels safe even if limiting. The ego will whisper insistently that you should do more, try harder, force outcomes through effort and action. But each time you return to the frequency of the silent observer, you reclaim alignment with your highest self and clearest vision. You remind the field who is directing the signal, who is holding the vision steady, and you witness as life reconfigures itself around your new vibration without you having to force anything. This is the seed of true power that changes everything. You don't need to manipulate outcomes through complicated techniques or rituals. You don't need to rush into spiritual practices out of fear or desperation that things won't change. You only need to observe with your heart, with presence, with quiet certainty that what you're focusing on already exists. Because in this state of the silent observer, you are no longer experiencing yourself as separate from what you desire. You recognize yourself as the field itself, remembering its own creative essence flowing through you. And when you truly see that, when that recognition becomes stable in your awareness, the wave collapses naturally, the illusion of separation fades completely, and the miracle becomes real in your physical experience. So here's the final call to you right now. Release completely the need for external proof before you believe. Become the presence that naturally draws it in through resonance. Let go of striving and struggling against what is. Embody the frequency of already having what you desire. Don't just picture the life you want in your imagination as something separate from you. Observe it from the part of you that knows with absolute certainty it's already yours, already happening, already real in the field. Because the silent observer does not create by accident or luck or random chance. It creates through coherence, through alignment, through sustained focus. It chooses what to witness and then holds steady in that witnessing until that vision appears in physical form. Let this be your signal to the universe, your declaration, a fundamental shift in how you engage with life from this moment forward, an awakening of the creator within you that's been dormant or forgotten. You're not waiting passively for reality to change anymore. You're creating it actively with every breath, every choice, every moment of focused observation combined with elevated emotion. The power was always yours from the very beginning. You're simply remembering how to use it consciously, how to direct it with intention, rather than scattering it unconsciously. The quantum field is infinite in its generosity, unlimited in its potential, and completely responsive to your sustained frequency. It doesn't ask if you're worthy. It doesn't question if you deserve what you're asking for. It simply responds to what you consistently observe with feeling, with presence, with coherent energy. And the more you practice becoming the silent observer, the more you realize that you're not separate from the field at all. You are the field observing itself, consciousness experiencing itself, the universe becoming aware of itself through your unique perspective. This understanding alone can transform everything if you let it land fully in your awareness. You're not a small, limited being trying to get something from a separate universe. You are the universe itself, expressing through this particular form, collapsing specific possibilities into reality through your focused attention. The silent observer knows this truth deeply. It doesn't beg or plead. It doesn't doubt or second guess. It simply observes with unwavering certainty, and reality responds accordingly. So, as we bring this exploration to a close, understand that what you've received here isn't just information to store away mentally. This is an activation, an invitation to step into a completely new way of being in the world. Every moment from this point forward, you have a choice. Will you continue observing through the old lens of limitation, lack, and fear? Or will you choose to observe through the lens of infinite possibility, recognizing yourself as the conscious creator you've always been? The patterns you've been living will continue until you change what you're observing. The cycles will repeat until you shift your focus. The limitations will remain until you witness something greater. But the moment you truly embody this understanding, the moment you become the silent observer holding steady focus on your desired reality with emotion, everything begins to shift. Not someday in the distant future, right now. Your past doesn't define you unless you keep observing it as your identity. Your current circumstances don't limit you unless you keep giving them your sustained attention and emotional energy. Your future is not predetermined unless you keep collapsing the same old possibilities through unconscious observation. You are free in every moment to choose differently, to observe differently, to become different. And when you do, when you truly commit to this practice of conscious observation from the silent witness state, you'll discover that the universe has been waiting for you to remember your power all along. Make sure you share this video with someone who needs to hear this message today. For you, it might be just sharing content, but for someone else struggling with feeling powerless or stuck, it could be the breakthrough moment they've been desperately seeking. Remember, you're not just sharing a video when you do this. You're spreading the frequency of conscious creation, of empowerment, of remembering. That positive energy you generate by helping others will amplify everything you're manifesting in your own life. Be the friend who shares breakthroughs that actually matter, not just entertainment. Send this to that one person who really needs to understand their creative power right now. And here's something powerful to understand as we close. This is just the beginning of what's possible when you truly grasp your role as the conscious observer. In the next video, we're going even deeper into something extraordinary that will take this understanding to an entirely new level. We're exploring how to maintain this observer frequency permanently, how to embody your quantum self so consistently that your entire external reality has no choice but to transform in ways that will astonish you. You'll discover the specific practices that anchor this state, the common traps that pull people back into unconscious observation, and the advanced techniques that masters use to collapse desired realities rapidly. You won't want to miss what comes next, because it builds directly on what you've learned here, taking you from understanding these principles intellectually to embodying them so deeply that manifestation becomes your natural state rather than something you have to try to do. Your greatest life isn't somewhere in the distant future. It's already here in the quantum field, waiting for you to observe it into form with sustained attention and elevated emotion. Click through to that next video now, and let's continue this journey of awakening together. The silent observer within you is ready to create miracles.